Welcome to the Global Interview. Thank you for listening. This is where you can keep up to date with all the latest news and information direct from leading creatives, leaders, and thinkers. We can help to keep you right up to date with all the latest information from interesting people who make a real difference in this globally connected world. You can find out more about the show at theglobalinterview.com. Enjoy the episode.
Jess Kelly, presenter, Tech Talk, radio and TV broadcaster at Newstalk 106 to 108 FM. Jess Kelly is a radio and TV broadcaster. She is Newstalk's technology correspondent, hosts Tech Talk on Saturday evenings at 5 p.m., and also joins Pat Kenny every Tuesday on The Pat Kenny Show. She also regularly contributes to Newstalk Breakfast and The Hard Shoulder with Ivan Yates, also on Newstalk. She was awarded Irish Tatler Woman of the Year, Media in 2019. As technology correspondent on a busy national radio station, Jess takes a hands-on look at all the latest gadgets and devices on the market and explains what you need to know. Having worked at Newstalk for the past 10 years, Jess's role has seen her travel across the globe reporting from some of the biggest conferences in the world, including CES in Las Vegas, IFA in Berlin, Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, and Samsung Unpacked in New York City. Before moving into the role of technology correspondent, she worked in production across many of the station's shows, including The Tom Dunn Show, Moncrief, and The Pat Kenny Show. She also imparts her technology expertise to television audiences on the 6 o'clock show on Virgin Media One. Jess regularly contributes to the Sunday Business Post and has also seen her work published in the Irish Examiner, Tatler, and on Independent.ea, to name but a few. She is an experienced MC, and in 2018 Jess hosted the main stage at the Dublin Tech Summit. Across the 2 days of the mega conference, Jess conducted interviews with high-profile guests such as YouTube megastar Casey Neistat and former Secretary of Homeland Security, Michael Chertoff. Jess also returned to host the main stage of the 2019 Dublin Tech Summit. Additionally, she has hosted events for the likes of WeWork, Brain for Business at the Science Gallery, Korea Zoo, Limerick Chamber, and the Department of Rural and Community Affairs. Jess has a BA in Gaeilge and Geography from University College Dublin. Jess is a supporter of the ISPCC. Tell us about your current role and what you like about your career and areas of focus. I am Newstalk's technology correspondent, and I host Ireland's only national radio show dedicated to technology, Tech Talk. As tech correspondent, I find stories relating to technology that will impact the lives of our listeners and explain why they should care. It's funny how many people instantly write themselves off as not being tech-savvy, but I am a firm believer that if you have a phone and an ATM card, you're doing pretty well. I love that I have just a broad portfolio. Technology infiltrates almost every walk of life. 1 week I can be at a tech launch in Las Vegas, and the next I can be in Kerry looking at innovation in the agri-tech sector. Newstalk has given me great freedom to explore topics in my own way. I self-produce Tech Talk, which is great because I can, and must, give 100% of myself to what goes out on air. What inspires you, motivates you, helps you to make each day count? I am naturally a self-starter. It doesn't matter if I'm sweeping the floor at home or on air talking about an important tech story, I give 100%. I'm motivated by the fact that I get paid to talk about the thing that interests me most in the world, which is technology. Tech is a fast-paced sector, and some people need or want to have things explained to them. I look at the responsibility that comes with my job. I would like for people to be brought along with me, rather than getting left behind. Outside of your professional work area, what hobbies or interests do you have, or what other areas of your life are of real importance to you? I'm very family-focused. I have a niece and nephew that are the best when it comes to forcing me to switch off from work. I have a brilliant partner and a group of friends around me that ensure my work-life balance is where it should be. That's something I've struggled with in the past. When it comes to your life-chosen career, is there a phrase, quote, or saying that you really like? There are quite a few. I used to get quite frustrated when I was working in radio production in my early 20s. One of my mentors often told me that I could only control the controllable. I also tell myself, and others around me, it's only radio. Radio is a hugely important part of people's lives and has a big role to play in terms of informing and entertaining people, but it's not life or death. Sometimes it's important to remember it's only radio because we can often beat ourselves up about different things that happen.
What are you most proud of in your life? That's a funny one.
I have had some amazing things happen in my career, but a lot of it sits weirdly with me, and I'm not sure why. We've won awards and had great listenership figures, but I think the things that stand out to me are individual items we have done or how we covered some very difficult news stories and tragedies.
There is a sense of responsibility that comes with working in radio.
In terms of my life, I'm most proud of my niece and nephew.
They are clever kids who make me burst with pride, regardless of what they do. What do you wish you had known when you started out?
I wish I knew that 90% of what I worry about today won't matter tomorrow. I started working in radio as a work experience student when I was 19.
Working in such as a fast-paced environment took a while to get used to.
I used to carry small mistakes or worries as though they were the end of the world.
I'm still working not to worry as much.
Who do you most admire in business, academic or creative circles? I tend to look close to home when it comes to these types of questions.
I am constantly impressed by those around me. We have some brilliant brains in Marconi House.
Professor Luke O'Neill from Trinity College Dublin is someone I always say I would like to be like when I grow up. He is so across every element of his brief, can communicate incredibly complex topics in a digestible way, but he's also just a lovely man. I have an awful lot of time for him and am constantly impressed by his brilliance.
What companies, brands or institutions do you like or do you think are getting it right? I don't know that anyone gets anything fully right. The beauty of human nature is that we are all different. I don't think you'll ever please everyone every time. What is the best advice you have ever received? I've been lucky to get some great advice over the years.
People like Anne O'Leary, CEO of Vodafone Ireland, and Pat Kenny have been very generous when it comes to giving advice and building me up. The one piece that stands out to me was given to me by Fionn Davenport, back when I started out on air.
He said, "Don't be afraid to say I don't know.
If you try and BS your way through, you'll lose the trust of the listener." I keep that in mind every time I'm on air.
I'd rather be honest than a know-it-all that bluffs. What drives or motivates you each day in a work environment?
I often say that I have the best job in the Irish media.
I get to play with tech for a living. I travel the world and get to meet brilliant people. It's not hard to be motivated when you have the brief I have.
What are your thoughts on the future of social media? I hope the future of social media involves some form of legislation and better policing. I see a lot of good coming from social media, but the minority of people who use it for bad are nasty. I don't know anyone that needs that in their lives, so I would like to think that will be stamped out in some form.
What is your favorite social media platform, and why? Instagram. I have completely gone off Twitter in recent years, but really love using Instagram. I use it as a bit of a diary really. I put day-to-day things up on stories and then post standout moments to me on the main grid. I don't do it for the likes, but more for myself. I've never fully understood that side of things.
Do you have a mentor, or have you ever been a mentor to anyone? I'm fascinated by the notion of mentors. When I was younger, I had this vision of it being a very formal relationship that is clearly established, but I now understand that is not the case. Informally, Patricia Monaghan, who is the managing editor of Newstalk, has been a mentor to me since I was 19 or 20. I listen to and trust her advice and guidance, even when it's something I don't want to hear.
I also look to people around me, like I am constantly learning.
I don't think I've ever been a mentor to anyone, but I always try to be mindful of those coming down the path behind me. I sometimes doubt if I have anything worth sharing, but do when asked.
How do you network? What is your preferred way to network? I'm not good at networking.
It's a skill that I desperately need to work on. I'm very shy and sometimes struggle to push myself to initiate conversations. What advice would you have for someone looking to get into the same area of work?
Be prepared to graft. Say yes to every opportunity that comes your way, even if it's something you don't want to do. One thing leads to another.
What do you feel is the most common reason for people failing or giving up?
I think there is this notion that success is easy. From what I've seen and heard, it's not. Some of the most successful people I know graft just as hard as they did on day one.
How do you define success, and what lessons have you learned so far that you could share with our audience?
I'm still working to define success. I am doing a job now that didn't exist a few years ago.
I love doing what I do and the people I get to work with, that's good enough for me. I think the key lesson to learn is that success looks different to different people. It's also worth noting that failure is an important part of success.
What skills do you feel have helped you to become successful? I think I have a good attitude towards work.
I'll always put myself forward to help, be that making a cup of tea for a guest or filling in for a producer.
You need to be nice to people when you're on the way up and hope they'll be nice to you when you're on the way down. Down days still happen.
Is there anything new that you are working on or involved in that you would like to share? I present Tech Talk, which airs on Newstalk every Saturday at 5 p.m. and is available as a podcast too.
Thank you for listening to this interview on The Global Interview. You can join the Global Interview newsletter at theglobalinterview.com.
Thank you for listening to this episode from The Global Interview. We appreciate your support. If you would like to find out more, please visit theglobalinterview.com.